Hello everyone, Hello here with Apollo Scooters. You might know me by now. Today we are looking at the version 3 of the Apollo Pro. Really exciting. There's some major change compared to the V2 that we looked at a month ago. This is a prototype that we were riding in Amsterdam when we announced the scooter. This is also the first model that we have that is dual motor. The version 1 and version 2 were single motor. Forgot to mention it in the last video. So this one is having a lot more power and torque, so just a lot more exciting. So let's jump right into it. All right, so the first thing that you can notice is the fenders. Last time we talked about how they were fixed with the nut and the cap of the motor. This time we really went all out on them. We wanted something rock solid like this. It's fixed directly to the suspension arm with 2 screws on each side, and it's going like this. You screw them from the top down on the suspension arm, so it's really solid, and they are not shaking anymore. With time, with vibration, it won't get loose like it could have been with the older model, so that's a great upgrade. Small thing I don't like, because I always have something that I don't like. Here it could be closed, because this time we introduce a hole in the footrest, right? So when you ride in water, now it's going inside this hole. It's not really important because it's all sealed anyway and your foot is there, but it could be nice to just go there and protect the whole scooter. The problem that we're gonna have if we extend it, it's gonna touch this part when the suspension is gonna work. So we basically need to rework the whole rear suspension if we do this, but this is version 3 out of 5, so we still have time. The other thing at the back with this one is the cap that you can see here. So last time I explained that it was screwed on, and with the vibration it could come loose, create some rattling. That's not the premium experience that we're looking for. So this time we really machine the curve right into the suspension arm, so it looked great. And this is basically a rubber cap now, so no vibration. It won't ever rattle against the suspension arm, so that's great. And under it, you have the regular bolt to undo the motors, and it's slotted, so that's also easier to put the motor on. So that's a great improvement, and overall the finish just looks way better, right? That's going to remove problem when we're going to assemble the scooter. That's less QC we need to do, because there's only one way to put this cap compared to before when you were screwing it. You can imagine the A being like this. It's not a big deal, but it's small details like this that truly makes the difference. If we continue towards the front of the scooter, then we have the hole that I mentioned. So that's such a game changer, because now you can grab the scooter like this to carry it. It looks like a small thing, but honestly it's not. And we really molded a handle here. It's rounded, it's super comfortable to grab it. It's a bit like the Phantom, but more comfortable. And now you can put 3 fingers. With the Phantom it's really 2, so that's great. Again, we don't want to add a lock on the scooter here to lock it when it's folded. So to carry it, it's really like this. And even when this is folded, well, you can still grab it back here. Overall, it's just a great improvement. And it's removing some visual weight of the scooter too. When you have a hole like this, it looks more lightweight, dynamic, it looks more sexy overall. So that's a great improvement. Then we have the grip tape. It's not as chunky as before. This is the 4th grip tape we do. Every time it's a different mold. It's so expensive, but the grip tape is one of the most important visual aspects of the scooter, so we need to get it right. That's gonna be the final one. Let us know in the comment which one you prefer, if it's the previous one, this one, or the first one. Then we have the swing arm here. Compared to the old one had a support here for the suspension. We removed that, make it flat, and it's also painted in gray this time. Personally, I like the 2 shades of gray for the neck and this. Before it was black. The front forks was black, this was black. Now it's all gray, and the paint of that swing arm is beautiful. It's just shiny. I don't know, there's something I like about it. I think it's the part of the scooter that is the most well painted. So let us know if you prefer this black with the forks. It's a huge debate here, so maybe you can settle it. If we go down, we now have an hydraulic suspension. So before it was a spring suspension, we changed it to hydraulic because it's more premium. This one I tried to paint it orange to fit with the rest. It was hand painted. It's ugly, so it's terrible, so we're gonna change that. I think I'm just gonna keep it black and keep the D&M sticker or whatever the brand we're gonna choose to go for at the end on it. And the thing I still don't like about it is how close it is to the wheel. You can see the gap here is really small. The suspension is gonna get dirty. If you have hydraulic suspension, sand's gonna stick on it, and then with the movement it's gonna go in it, so that's not great. We need to find a way to, again, bring the Fender all the way down, you can see that there's just absolutely no space for this. There's barely space for the tires, so the whole front fork is going to need a rework again, but that's fine. Same thing as I mentioned earlier, now it's a dual motor version, which is great. It's more powerful than the Phantom. It's just great. For a 12-inch tire, the torque on that thing is insane. So we did the same approach as the rear. We made a channel inside the forks to pass the wire, so it's invisible. Usually with a scooter, it's gonna go up the neck, come out here, and then go to the wheel, like we have on the Phantom, for example. Now it's all integrated inside the neck, inside the swing arm, and going here. And there's also bracket all the way here, passing behind the suspension for the motor wire and the brake cable, so you really see no cable from outside. So that's great. Same thing as the rear. We put rubber cap here, fantastic. Same thing here. That just look more integrated. There's going to be a rubber cap going here in that hole as well. This is for the suspension. And right now with the suspension, it's screws. It's two screws going like this inside the suspension bracket. That's not good. You don't want any thread going inside the suspension bracket because it's going to move. It's a weak point. That's just bad design. So we're going to be putting stainless steel shaft like we have on the Phantom or the old Pro, the 2021 Pro. That's the way you should make a suspension. Same thing as the old one. There's bearing now in the suspension as well, so that's butter smooth. That's great. The rear suspension though on this one is not moving at all. So we have a rubber block, as some of you might know. To create softness in rubber, well, you can use a softer rubber, but on scooters like this, usually you have the patterns of holes inside the rubber. So on this one, they didn't drill any hole in it. For the future sample, we need to really crack how many holes, the location of it, to really get the smoothness that we want from the rear of the scooter. This is hard to do because we want the scooter to fit for someone who's going to be 150 pounds and someone who's going to be 320 pounds, right? So the rear, we're going to make it stiffer, and it's really with the front suspension, the hydraulic one, that we're going to play with. This hydraulic suspension, as you can see, don't have any adjustment like we have on the classic D&M suspension. Usually it's like a red wheel and you can make it stiffer or softer. This one don't have any because we tried to do something that fits everyone. That's not possible, it seems like, so we're gonna try to change that. And D&M don't make any. I'm always referring to D&M because those are the ones that we should go for. They are the king of the hydraulic suspension. They don't make any suspension that can fit here, so it's either we redesign the whole neck, the swing arm and the front suspension for this, or we ask D&M to open a custom suspension. I think it's going to be the second option because I don't want to change the neck and everything. It's great on the new one. If we go up, we have the folding mechanism. This is the same as before. We increase the grade of the screws inside, so that's good. If we open it though, that's different. Now we have a screw that is adjustable with a spanner wrench. So I mentioned in the last video that the front direction was coming loose and there was no way for us to tighten it. You needed to remove all those cables from inside, remove the cable under it, and then it was an Allen key pattern inside. You put the Allen key, you tighten it. Well, that's a nightmare and it's unacceptable for customers, obviously. So now we just added holes in the top nut, so you can grab a spanner wrench like we have for the City 2022 and the Air 2022 and just tighten it if it ever comes loose. Again, I mentioned that the folding mechanism is the same. We have a new one coming out. On the next version, you're gonna see it. It's a game changer. So this one good, but could be better. Then we have the front light. Front light on this one is still only white, so it doesn't have the RGB function of the deck. That means that the shade are not matching, and it means that interaction-wise, you know, if I lock the scooter, I want all the lights to be red. If I put turning signal, maybe I want to put an animation here. I don't know. You tell me what you want to see with this front light, but it's not possible right now. That's something we're going to change in the next version. Finally, all the shades going to match. The white blue of the deck will match the white blue of the stem. And we are also working on the app now, I think I mentioned before, to change all those colors. They are programmable, right? So you're going to be able to select the color just of the stem, just of the body, just of the turning signal. So we should have a light that you can decide the color, so you can do whatever you want with your scooter. That's basically the bottom line. So if we go up, we have the same stem. The stem is great, nothing to change there. We have a new speaker. So we passed from a 3-watt speaker on the first one to a 5-watt speaker on the second one to a 10-watt speaker on this one. It's super loud. Now it's clear, the music, it sounds great. I think it's the best it can sound on a scooter, honestly. And that's really great. And you can see the grill is bigger. The shape of it, I think, is nicer on this one, and it's well integrated to the headset. This meant that we had to rework the whole PCB infrastructure inside the headset. We needed to put it on the side, put the speaker next to it. It was complicated, but worth it at the end. We have the new phone holder as well. So for this one, we now have a screw that you can, screw. Before it was just a button that was on-off. Again, I explained that it was not really capturing the whole spectrum of phone size. With this one, you can really put your phone and it's going to adapt to it. So that's way more secure. Again, on the last one, I broke my phone. On this one, I didn't, my new phone. Again, I'll touch some wood somewhere. But this one is better. We still have the issue of the wireless charger wires inside moving with all the components. It seems like this is the best phone holder we're going to achieve with the wire moving. So there's two options for us. There's three options. The first one is we just isolate the wires so they are well protected, so nothing's gonna happen when you move the phone holder. The second option is to remove the wireless charger, which is not really an option for me because this is the new screen for your scooter, so it needs to be charging it. With the Bluetooth connection of the speaker and the scooter, it's always going to be draining the battery of your phone, so you need something to charge it. So the last option is to go with a third-party system that already exists and is already great, something like quad lock maybe. This opened a lot of questions. Do the customer need to buy the phone case for the scooter to match it, the quad lock for example? Are we going to give it for free? Is it on the customer? Do we give just a universal adapter, which is a sticker that you put behind your phone and stick it there? I don't know. You tell me what you want to see. But we are exploring other options with reputable sellers of phone holders. It's way harder than I thought to design a unique phone holder. Then we have the new handlebar. This one is not as curved as the last one. That's a mistake from the factory side. They're gonna be curved as the old model, the V2, for the next sample. And this one has a new brake handle too. So on the V2, the brake handle were a bit too far. So if you had small hand, it was hard to grip. Those one are closer, so it's nice, but there's other problem now with the brake handle. It seems like there's only on-off signal for the regen. So you can imagine when you set the regen to maximum to control with your thumb on the throttle and you press the brake handle, well, it's gonna apply 100% of the force of the regen, even if you press just a little bit. So that's why you need a Hall sensor inside the brake handle to really give you, if you press just a little, if you press 10% of the brake handle, the regen should be 10%. And right now it's not the case. It's mostly a software problem. That's easy to fix, but again, we changed the brake handle. There's some new issues. They're going to be fixed in the future. That's part of the game. We also have new grip handle now. So I mentioned last time it was a foam material, which feels great, but look cheap. And funny enough, it was more expensive than this. So now we changed it just for a round rubber one. Really comfortable with a lot of grip. I like it. Again, let us know in the comment what you think about the grip. Should we make one like the Phantom, like the Ghost, or round one like this? I don't know. I prefer this one. A lot of people prefer the other one. We made polls on internet and it seems like it's the round one that wins. Mountain bike have this, for example, so let us know. It's not too late to change. And the big change is we added turning signal at the top of the handlebar. So that's something you requested for a long time and it's finally there. It's bright, it looks clean, it's the same diameter as a grip handle, so it just looks integrated and I like the feeling. And also it's a small difference, but it makes the handle grip longer, so you have more place to put your hands on it. And the tip is, the whole turning signal is aluminum, so it's cold to the touch, which I like those small details. It's important. If we go to the front, we added rubber cap to the screws, which are holding the handlebar, so it just look more integrated. The Apollo is in raw aluminum color, so that's pretty cool. And that's pretty much it for the exterior of the scooter. One last thing before we check inside the body. If we remove the grip tape, we now have this component here. This is the GPS antenna. I removed the screw on it, so that's why it looks a bit loose. That's going to allow you to track your scooter anywhere, to control it, to report it stolen. So that's a great safety feature that we're looking to add into all our scooters. There's still some bugs with this one. It's really hard to do an IoT. Some companies are just specialized in it. So for us, we're trying to do one in-house with a limited resource. This is a third prototype of the IoT. I think it's going to require 6 or 7 before we have something solid, but it's encouraging. You can see this one is connecting, it's talking to the controller, but there's still some things to figure out. It's a great first win here, so love this. Now I'm going to open the body. For the sake of time, I only put 2 screws on it, and you'll see inside it's quite different from the old one. All right, so if we open the deck, first thing you see is the IoT wire you can disconnect, and now we have easy plug connectors for the rear lights. So I mentioned in the previous sample I always break everything, but those lights were broke. Now they work. If I turn on the scooter, we're gonna show you the light after, but just so you can see they're connected. And again, it's easy plug connectors now to disconnect them, so that's great for maintenance. It's great for QC at the factory. It's making everyone's lives easier, so that's fantastic. I'm gonna turn it on. That won't be the final sound. It's gonna be customizable throughout the app, so you decide what you want to hear. So if we look inside now, we have a clear structure for the light box. There's a solid bracket that goes over the controller for it, so that's gonna help for heat dissipation, and also in the assembly level, it's easy to install, it's easy for you to replace if you ever need to replace it. Under it, we have the controller. Now we have the battery with the new connectors for it. Those are heavy duty connectors, that's great. It can support high amount of discharge, and that's what we want. We also have everywhere, it's easy connectors, easy plug connectors, so it's waterproof, easy to replace, no soldering, you know, like on the old City, on the old Explorer, even on the Ghost, sometimes you need to cut wires and solder them. That's unacceptable, but we didn't have control over those components because they were OEM scooters, right? For this one, we have 100% control over all the components, so we're gonna put the attention to the small details like this. What else is new inside? We now have, I believe, the gasket, yes. So here you can see the orange thing around the deck is a gasket to seal the water. So that's fantastic. That's gonna help us achieve the IP66 rating that we want. The structure of the deck changed too, those little things here. And because of this antenna here also, we had to redo the deck completely. But that's great. It's also lighter now. The older one was ridiculously thick, could stop a bullet from a gun, I'm pretty sure. This one, probably still, but it's lighter. So that's great. What is missing inside the body now is a hole in it. It's to stick the controller out to cool down with the wind. On the next sample, it's gonna be there. On this one, we really wanted to test even more with dual motor to see if the temperature was going to build up, and it definitely is building up. So we'll need the controller to stick out to cool it down. It's gonna look fantastic. Again, this controller is blue that you see inside. The new one is orange. We're gonna show it with the last version of the scooter, the 5th one, but it's gonna be the Mach 2 inside too. So a bit more powerful, look better, the new pattern for the fins cool down. And that's pretty much it for the inside of the body. So now the only thing that we still need to look at is the kickstand. We changed it again, so we're gonna look at what is different with it. So now we're gonna look at the kickstand. Before we do that, we're gonna look at the light too. We changed the interaction with the turning signal. Again, we added some on the handlebar, so let's look at them. Like this, so now we have 3 cycles of the green light going around it, just because it's cool. We're gonna change that. On the new one, it's gonna be white and doing a special motion, so that's just to prove that we can do anything we want with it, which is pretty cool. So if you look at it, you can see that the front one on the stem is still not matching the body, right? You have something pure white here and you have something blue there. So that's what I mean by changing this to an RGB function to match this shade here. And you can imagine it in your head, it's just gonna look better, right? No question about it. Then we have the turning signal on the handlebar here. This one, we put it in a motion that it's always flashing on both sides. It's like hazard mode for your car. And at the back, we have the rear brake light. So that's pretty cool. And when you press the regen, it's all turning red. I think it was similar on the old one too. So really cool. And the turning signal, it's gonna be on the body as well like this. So there's 2 things about it. The first one is the rear shade where it's red is not matching the shade of the blue when you put the turning signal. This one is more green and this one is more orange. And also we wanted to do something that we thought was a good idea. It's starting from the right side and going like this. So when you are behind the scooter, you see the line going towards the left, right? So we thought it was clear, but thinking about it, we think we're gonna just split the rear light in half for the turning signal. And when you put it, it's gonna do from the middle. If you put it to the left, it's gonna do middle towards the left like this and go all around it instead of starting here. And because you can see if I put it now, it's going so fast that it's hard to see. It seems like this one is just blinking yellow. So if you are behind the scooter, well, you won't see it, right? So by cutting it in half, it's gonna be a clear signal that it's on the left. So small things like this that we're gonna change with firmware updates. And lastly, the kickstand. So this one is a different one, is way thicker compared to before. It's a complete new design. The way it's retracting inside the body is also different. It's still not fantastic. It's better, but it's still rattling a little bit. And I'm really worried about when you're gonna ride the scooter after 1,000 kilometers. I don't want this to rattle inside the body. It's gonna be so annoying. And the thing that you can see that is pretty obvious is the shade of orange that was used for the rubber, which looked disgusting. It's nothing like the orange that we wanted. And the padding for the floor is gone because it broke just like the other one. So that's really hard to do. We have a solution to fix this. Instead of putting just a rubber pad that is being held by 2 screws under the kickstand, when we manufacture the kickstand, we're gonna mold the rubber all around it. So there's no way for it to be removed because it's not even a screw or whatever. If you want to change it, you're gonna need to change the kickstand, which is gonna be fairly easy to replace, but that's way more durable. That's the only way to make a good one. We tried everything at this point, and we're pretty confident with the new design. And this one is also more waterproofed. Inside we changed the structure so the water cannot go in via this part. And the other advantage of wrapping the rubber all around the kickstand is that even if it rattles, the rubber is going to absorb all the shock. So it's not going to be metal on metal and you won't hear the rattling, the click, 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 click. It's going to be rubber, which is going to be pop, 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 pop. It's going to be smoother. Last time I could stand on the scooter. This time is the same thing. It's even stronger. We could probably stand 2 people on it, but you can see like you should not be able to do this with a kickstand of a scooter. So that's about it. This concludes the Apollo Pro V3. Again, tell us in the comment what you think about it. If there's anything else that you would like to see different on it, it's not too late to change some things. And yeah, pretty exciting to see the V4.
Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed that video of the Pro V3. Now today I'm really excited to announce our beta program for all our new products. What you saw was a V3, we're then going to have the V4, V5 and then V6 of the Pro. And then we have 100 units of the V6 that we send out to customers for testing purposes under the beta program. So in order to sign up for the beta program, you have to currently have a Pro reservation, which is only $20 on our website today. Then you'll receive an email shortly asking if you'd like to sign up for this program. Once signed up, we'll send more details about the actual beta program and when the units are expected for delivery. Now the beta program will be 100 units of the Apollo Pro. It will be the product at cost, so not retail, but a significant discount on the product. And in exchange, what we ask for all the beta riders is as much feedback as possible and a minimum of at least 100 to 500 kilometers being ridden on the Pro. So we'll be sending all of those details to you by email. Again, if you want to sign up for the beta program, there'll be 100 units going out in April for you to test early on at cost for the product. So please sign up and let us know if you have any questions. The Apollo Pro really is the future of electric mobility. So we really hope you're as excited as we are for this incredible new piece of mobility technology.